Magandang araw! Ako si Doc Benjo mula sa Department of Health at nandito ako ngayon upang magbigay ng impormasyon tungkol sa mga bakuna at boosters kontra COVID-19. Sa araw na ito ay inaalok sa inyong anak ang bakuna kontra COVID-19. Itong bakuna ay ibinibigay ng libre galing sa gobyerno. Nasa sa inyo pa rin ang desisyon kung magpapabakuna o hindi. Gayunpaman, aming inirerekomenda na magpabakuna na ang lahat ng eligible recipients kabilang ang inyong anak para maprotektahan ang buong pamilya, ang komunidad at eskwelahan laban sa COVID-19. Bakit kailangan bigyan prioridad ang mga kabataan para sa pagpapabakuna? Ang mga kabataan ay maaari pa rin mahawak ng COVID-19 dahil hindi pa gaanong na-develop ang kanilang immune response kumpara sa mga matatanda. At dahil sila ay nasa closed setting sa kanilang paaralan at madalas ay nagsasama-sama at nagkukumpul-kumpulan kasama ang ibang mga bata, maaaring mas bumilis ang pagkalat ng sakit sa kanila. Para mapanatiling ligtas sa mga bata, faculty, staff, at iba pang mga tao sa paaralan, kailangan natin ng bakuna. Ang bakuna ay magbibigay proteksyon mula sa malubhang COVID-19, sa pagka-ospital, at kamatayan. Makakapagbigay din ito ng mas ligtas na pagbalik sa paaralan o face-to-face classes at magagawang mas ligtas ang pagkikita ng pamilya at kaanak. Para matanggap ang ganap na proteksyon, importanteng tandaan na dapat na kumpleto ang ikalawang dose ng kaparehong brand ng bakuna nang naaayon sa schedule. Sa madaling salita, protektado ka at ang iyong pamilya at ang buong eskwelahan kapag lahat ay magpapabakuna. Anong mga bakuna para sa COVID-19 ang gagamitin para sa mga bata? Ligtas at epektibo ba ang mga bakunang ito? Sa ngayon, ang mga bakunang Moderna at Pfizer ang maaaring ibigay para sa primary series ng mga bata edad 12 to 17 at Pfizer lamang ang maaaring ibigay sa kanila bilang first booster shot. Samantala, Pfizer lamang ang bakunang maaaring ibigay para sa primary series ng mga batang edad 5 to 11. Tanging ang mga bakunang nabigyan ng Emergency Use Authorization o EUA ng Philippine Food and Drug Administration o FDA para sa mga bata ang ibinibigay ng libre sa kanila. Patunay, ang EUA na masusing pinag-aralan ng iba't ibang grupo ng mga doktor, healthcare professionals at mga at siguraduhin may maayos na daloy ng hangin. Maging bidakid po tayo para sa ating proteksyon at sa proteksyon din ng iba. O paano? Magpabakuna at magpabooster na po tayo at kita-kita tayo sa Pinas Lakas na Pilipinas. Magandang araw! Ako si Doc Benjo mula sa Department of Health at nandito Magandang araw! Ako si Doc Benjo mula sa Department of Health at nandito ako ngayon upang magbigay ng impormasyon tungkol sa mga bakuna at boosters kontra COVID-19. Sa araw na ito ay inaalok sa inyong anak ang bakuna kontra COVID-19. Itong bakuna ay ibinibigay ng libre galing sa gobyerno. Nasa sa inyo pa rin ang desisyon kung magpapabakuna o hindi. Gayunpaman, aming inirerekomenda na magpabakuna na ang lahat ng eligible recipients kabilang ang inyong anak para maprotektahan ang buong pamilya, ang komunidad at eskwelahan laban sa COVID-19. Bakit kailangan bigyan prioridad ang mga kabataan para sa pagpapabakuna? Ang mga kabataan ay maaari pa rin mahawak ng COVID-19 dahil hindi pa gaanong na-develop ang kanilang immune response kumpara sa mga matatanda. At dahil sila ay nasa closed setting sa kanilang paaralan at madalas ay nagsasama-sama at nagkukumpul-kumpulan kasama ang ibang mga bata, maaaring mas bumilis ang pagkalat ng sakit sa kanila. Para mapanatiling ligtas sa mga bata, faculty, staff, at iba pang mga tao sa paaralan, kailangan natin ng bakuna. Ang bakuna ay magbibigay proteksyon mula sa malubhang COVID-19, sa pagka-ospital, at kamatayan. Makakapagbigay din ito ng mas ligtas na pagbalik sa paaralan o face-to-face classes at magagawang mas ligtas ang pagkikita ng pamilya at kaanak. Para matanggap ang ganap na proteksyon, importanteng tandaan na dapat makumpleto ang ikalawang dose ng kaparehong brand ng bakuna nang naaayon sa schedule. Sa madaling salita, protektado ka at ang iyong pamilya at ang buong eskwelahan kapag lahat ay magpapabakuna. Anong mga bakuna para sa COVID-19 ang gagamitin para sa mga bata? Ligtas at epektibo ba ang mga bakunang ito? Sa ngayon, ang mga bakunang Moderna at Pfizer ang maaaring ibigay para sa primary series ng mga bata edad 12 to 17 at Pfizer lamang ang maaaring ibigay sa kanila bilang first booster shot. Samantala, Pfizer lamang ang bakunang maaaring ibigay para sa primary series ng mga batang edad 5 to 11. Tanging ang mga bakunang nabigyan ng Emergency Use Authorization o EUA ng Philippine Food and Drug Administration o FDA para sa mga bata ang ibinibigay ng libre sa kanila. Patunay, ang EUA na masusing pinag-aralan ng iba't ibang grupo ng mga doktor, healthcare professionals at mga pag may ibang nararamdaman at siguraduhin may maayos na daloy ng hangin. Maging bidakid po tayo para sa ating proteksyon at sa proteksyon din ng iba. O paano? Magpabakuna at magpabooster na po tayo at kita-kita tayo sa Pinas Lakas na Pilipinas. Magandang araw! Ako si Doc Benjo mula sa Department of Health at nandito ako ngayon upang magbigay ng impormasyon tungkol sa mga bakuna at boosters kontra COVID-19. Sa araw na ito ay inaalok sa inyong anak ang bakuna kontra COVID-19. Itong bakuna ay ibinibigay ng libre galing sa gobyerno. Nasa sa inyo pa rin ang desisyon kung magpapabakuna o hindi. Gayunpaman, aming inirerekomenda na magpabakuna na ang lahat ng eligible recipients kabilang ang inyong anak para maprotektahan ang buong pamilya, ang komunidad at eskwelahan laban sa COVID-19. Bakit kailangan bigyan prioridad ang mga kabataan para sa pagpapabakuna? Ang mga kabataan ay maaari pa rin mahawak ng COVID-19 dahil hindi pa gaanong na-develop ang kanilang immune response kumpara sa mga matatanda. At dahil sila ay nasa closed setting sa kanilang paaralan at madalas ay nagsasama-sama at nagkukumpul-kumpulan kasama ang ibang mga bata, maaaring mas bumilis ang pagkalat ng sakit sa kanila. Para mapanatiling ligtas sa mga bata, faculty, staff, at iba pang mga tao sa paaralan, kailangan natin ng bakuna. Ang bakuna ay magbibigay proteksyon mula sa malubhang COVID-19, sa pagka-ospital at kamatayan. Makakapagbigay din ito ng mas ligtas na pagbalik sa paaralan o face-to-face classes at magagawang mas ligtas ang pagkikita ng pamilya at kaanak. Para matanggap ang ganap na proteksyon, importanteng tandaan na dapat makumpleto ang ikalawang dose ng kaparehong brand ng bakuna nang naaayon sa schedule. Sa madaling salita, protektado ka at ang iyong pamilya at ang buong eskwelahan kapag lahat ay magpapabakuna. Anong mga bakuna para sa COVID-19 ang gagamitin para sa mga bata? Ligtas at epektibo ba ang mga bakunang ito? Sa ngayon, ang mga bakunang Moderna at Pfizer ang maaaring ibigay para sa primary series ng mga bata edad 12 to 17 at Pfizer lamang ang maaaring ibigay sa kanila bilang first booster shot. Samantala, Pfizer lamang ang bakunang maaaring ibigay para sa primary series ng mga batang edad 5 to 11. Tanging ang mga bakunang nabigyan ng Emergency Use Authorization o EUA ng Philippine Food and Drug Administration o FDA para sa mga bata ang ibinibigay ng libre sa kanila. Patunay, ang EUA na masusing pinag-aralan ng iba't ibang grupo ng mga doktor, healthcare professionals at mga pag may ibang nararamdaman at siguraduhin may maayos na daloy ng hangin. Maging bidakid po tayo para sa ating proteksyon at sa proteksyon din ng iba. O paano? Magpabakuna at magpabooster na po tayo at kita-kita tayo sa Pinas Lakas na Pilipinas.
Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Naimbag ng nga bigat. Masantos ya kabawasan. Mayap abak. Maray na aga. Maayong buntag. Buenos dias. Good morning po sa ating lahat. So it's been months since the RA 7784 was amended through Republic Act 11713 or the Excellence in Teacher Education Act. This Republic Act states that towards this end, the state shall ensure and enhance the quality education and training of teachers nationwide by establishing a scholarship program for deserving students pursuing teacher education degree programs, and for teachers and school leaders pursuing graduate degree programs, and providing a dynamic, modern, and equitable education system through the national leadership of the Teacher Education Council, herein under referred to as the Council, which is mandated to carry out this vision through the development of teachers and school leaders who are unquestionable integrity and competence, and who are committed to the pursuit of their continuing professional growth and obligation to help learners grow as responsible, competent, and productive individuals and citizens of the Philippines and of the world. Today, we are gathered here virtually through MS Teams, and some of our participants and viewers were on Facebook through the Tech Facebook page and DepEd Philippines Facebook page. Please stay tuned as our tech members present later the implementing rules and regulations of RA 11713 or the Excellence in Teacher Education Act to all of us. To formally begin this virtual gathering, may I invite everyone for the singing of our national anthem through a video presentation, to be followed by a prayer to be led by our tech subject representative for science, Dr. Thomas Edison A. de la Cruz. Please rise.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
Let's place ourselves in the holy presence of God. God of wisdom, Spirit of clarity, we praise and thank you for this day and for gathering us through this activity that calls us to share the draft of RA 11713, implementing rules and regulations to produce quality teachers and better serve our Filipino learners. We lay before your compassionate heart the passions of our souls, anger, resentment, hurtful thoughts, and forgive us as we too are forgiven. Bless the leaders of this activity, the discussants, the organizers, through whom your strength and inspiration touch us. We also pray that they deliver with clarity and excellence the essential understanding that we proceed to in life. Bless all participants with focus, motivation, and open heart, willing to embrace the day's challenges, new learnings, unlearnings, and relearnings. Embrace us in your protective care, and may your love be the guiding light at the forefront of our minds for all we set out to accomplish and celebrate today. Inspire our thoughts, discussion, and ideas, and continue to remind us that what we do here today, all that we accomplish, is for the well being of the Filipino children, your gift to our nation. May this online gathering end with each one vibrant and committed to the growth of all the government agencies involved: DepEd, CHED, TESDA, NCCA, PRC, and other stakeholders for the greater glory of you. Amen.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. De La Cruz. And to all, thank you very much for your participation. You may now take your seat. So look for a comfortable space, for we will be having a long day ahead as we will listen to the presentations on the RA 11713 IRR. So before we continue, let us watch this video as a short reminder during virtual gathering activity. Okay, so flashed on screen is the registration link, which will serve as your attendance link as well. So if you are not yet done with the registration, please just click the link posted in the chat box for you to access and register. Okay, so at this point, may I call in the tech subject representative for mathematics to acknowledge our participants present here in our virtual room, as well as those watching via Facebook. Let us welcome with a virtual clap, Dr. Gary C. Cachuela. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Ma'am Dawn. Good morning, everyone. Maayat-ayat nga adlaw from Iloilo. So, let me call on the participants in this public consultation and kindly open your camera or raise your hand if your name or the organization or institution you represent is being called. So let's start with the president, deans, and co-chairman of COEs and CODs in teacher education across regions. Yes, we have them. Next. Our participants representing the presidents, deans, program chair from different TEIs across the country. Thank you very much. Next, we have our representative from state universities and colleges, Teacher Education Association, or the SUCTEA. We also have from Philippine Association for Teachers and Educators, or PAFTE. Yes, we are seeing them raising their hands. Also from the National Network of Normal Schools, or the 3NS. We also have participants from the Philippine Association of School Superintendents, or PAS. Is there also anyone in this meeting room representing the Philippine Elementary School Principals Association, or PESPA? And from the National Association of Secondary School Principals, or the NASSP. Yes. We also have our representative from the Unified Financial Assistance System, or the UNIFAS. And this has been our partner in crafting the IRR also. We also have from the Philippine Accrediting Association of Schools, Colleges, and Universities, or PAASCO. Yes. How about from Philippine Association of Colleges and Universities Commission on Accreditation, or the PAPUCOA? We also have representatives from the Association of Christian Schools, Colleges, and Universities Accrediting Council Incorporated, or the AXCO-ASI. ACI. You have also here representatives from the Philippine Association of Private Schools, Colleges, and Universities, or the PAPSCO. How about from the Coordinating Council of Private Educational Associations of the Philippines, or the COCOPEA? Representatives also from the Philippine Business for Education, PBED. Okay. How about from the Teachers Dignity Coalition? Representatives from the Alliance of Concerned Teachers. We also have in this meeting room the representatives from the Department of Science and Technology, Science Education Institute, or the DOST-SEI, providing scholarships for science-related courses. Also, our partners from the Department of Education, the directors, chiefs, and representatives from different DepEd offices and bureaus, specifically from BCD, BLD, BEA, Legislative, Legal Service, Planning Service, BHROD, the OED and the HRDD, and most especially from NEAP. We also have in this meeting room the tech regular members, starting off with our tech zonal representative from Luzon, Dr. Felina Espique. Zonal representative for Visayas, Dr. Gistoni Babia. And our zonal representative for Mindanao, Dr. Annabel J. Kasumpa. We also have our subject representatives. For language, we have Dr. Jenny Hoxon. For science, we have Dr. Thomas Edison E. De La Cruz. And for social studies, we have Dr. Archie B. Resos. We also have our tech ex officio members. Honorable Jose Y. Cueto Jr., Acting Chairman of the Professional Regulation Commission, or the PRC. Morning, sir. We also have the Chairman of the National Commission for Culture and the Arts, or the NCCA, Honorable Rene R. Escalante. Also, the Director General of the Technical Education and Skills Development Authority, or the TESDA, Honorable Danilo P. Cruz. We also have the Chairman of the Commission on Higher Education, or CHED, Honorable J. Prospero E. De Vera III. And the Secretary of the Department of Education, or the DepEd, and at the same time, the Tech ex officio Chairman. We have Honorable Zara C. Duterte. We also have in this meeting room the Tech Secretariat with a technical team headed by our Executive Director, Dr. Randy V. Manguera. And yours truly, the Tech Subject Representative for Mathematics. Thank you and have a good day, everyone.
Okay. So, gracias, Dr. Cachuela, for presenting and acknowledging our participants and viewers. At this juncture, let us listen to the Executive Director 2 of the Teacher Education Council Secretariat for the opening message and the statement of purpose. Let's welcome, with a virtual clap, Director Ranvi V. Manguera. Over to you, sir. Ranvi. Director Ranvi. Hello, sir. Okay, so while waiting for Director Ranvi to join, so we all know that Teacher Education Council is composed of different education agencies in the country. This includes the Department of Education, or DepEd, the Commission on Higher Education, or CHED, the Technical Education and Skills Development Authority, or TESDA, the National Commission for Culture and the Arts, or NCCA, and the Professional Regulation Commission, or PRC. So this time, maybe we can hear a message from the chairman, the chairperson, the director general, and secretary of these agencies. So let us lend our ears as the acting chairman of Professional Regulation Commission, or PRC, give his message. Let's welcome, with a virtual clap, Commissioner Jose Y. Cueto Jr. Over
Thank
to
you very
you,
much.
Commissioner.
Yeah, thank you very much and good morning to everybody. So let me acknowledge the other members of ex-officio members of the TEC, Honorable Rene Escalante, Honorable Danilo P. Cruz, Honorable J. Prosperio de Vera III, and of course, our Honorable Vice President, Sara C. Duterte. I'm honored to be given a chance to give a message to start the public consultation of the draft IRR of RA 11713. I have participated in a number of hearings conducted by the Senate Committee in the crafting of this law, and we actively participated, our team, in the PRC. The biggest change for us is the provision that PRC will need to release copies of the licensure examination questions with corresponding answers and item analysis and other test statistics. We welcome that. We never objected to that during the hearing, but we pointed out that we should maintain the correct and right perspective as far as this is concerned. That we mainly utilize the release of the licensure examination questions for policy formulation, for research, for constructive feedback, and hopefully all of this will redound or will be used to strengthen teacher education in the Philippines. I'm a believer of the principle or basic assumption that when we conduct assessment and provide meaningful feedback, then we should improve. For the ACIs and teacher education institutions, deans, faculties, I know that you also have your institutional or even personal education policy or belief. It is my hope that all of the stakeholders will participate actively in this public consultation and that this will be conducted smoothly. Again, for the faculty members, during discussions that we conducted, problem of teachers is placing teaching for the test and not teaching for the professional roles and responsibilities of our graduates. Because I come from the profession of medicine, and we always told ourselves during our student days that if we perform well in the clinics, in the hospitals, then there is no fear of failing the physician licensure examinations because we have adequately prepared for it. Last, I hope that we do not forget the long-term outcomes, the quality of teacher education improvement, and of course, the improvement of the performance of our students in schools and the performance of graduates in licensure examinations or in any assessment that will be conducted after their graduation. So thank you very much for this opportunity, and I'm hoping for a very productive public consultation. Thank you.
Jos Mabalos. Thank you very much, Honorable Commissioner Cueto. So again, a virtual clap for our acting PRC Chairman, Honorable Commissioner Cueto. Thank you. Okay, so another message will be coming from the Chairman of National Commission for Culture and the Arts, or NCCA. So this time, let us give the virtual room and let us welcome him in the virtual clap, Honorable Dr. Rene R. Escalante.
officials, esteemed experts in the field of education, ladies and gentlemen, isang makasining na araw sa inyong lahat. First, we at the National Commission for Culture and the Arts, or NCCA, would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to the Teacher Education Council, or TESC, for the opportunity to allow the Commission to participate in the Republic Act number 11713 implementing rules and regulations right here. The NCCA, as the prime government agency mandated to safeguard, develop, and promote Filipino arts and culture through the formulation and implementation of enabling policies and programs, aspires the Philippines to be a nation with Filipino people with a strong sense of nationhood and deep respect for cultural diversity. Thus, in terms of the Commission's responsibility to the TEC, in aid of ensuring to provide teachers with knowledge in the areas of social sciences and history, national heritage, and creative arts, the NCCA shall provide the Council a regular report and update on the development in the creative industries, indigenous industries, and other matters relevant in the study of social sciences and history, national heritage, and creative arts, pursuant to relevant policies and programs. In this sense, the Commission is committed and one with the educators in guiding the students to appreciate our culture and use it to the benefit of the communities in our nation. For cultural education, it strengthens community participation and nurtures sense of belongingness and our identity as Mangal, Manikain, at mapagpagong Pilipino. Ulit, maraming salamat po at mabuhay tayong lahat.
Okay. So thank you very much, Dr. Escalante. So at this point, let's go back to the message of our Executive Director 2, Director Ranvi V. Mangela.
Okay, good morning to everyone. Okay, to the Teacher Education Council, ex-officio members, Vice President of the Republic of the Philippines, and Department of Education Secretary, Honorable Vice President Sara C. Duterte, the Chairperson of the Commission on Higher Education, Honorable J. Prospero de Vera, Acting Chairman of the PRC, Honorable Jose Cueto, Director General of Technical Education and Skills Development, represented by DDG Ordaneta, Honorable Danilo P. Cruz, Chairman of the NCCA and the Arts, Honorable Rene Escalante, officials of the Department of Education, TEC members, teacher education organizations and institutions, and other stakeholders present with us. Good morning. So let me start with the state of the teacher education institutions in the Philippines. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, presently, we have 1,603 TEIs in the Philippines. And in terms of enrollment, we have about, next slide, please. Okay, so in terms of enrollment, we have about 671,423. That's the enrollment in 2019 and 2020. And then 2018 is 2019 is 653,207. While in 2017 to 2018, we have 639,063. So as I mentioned, there are 1,603, next slide, teacher education institutions in the Philippines. And among these TEIs, we only have about 36 Center of Excellence and 38 Centers of Development. So this constitutes about 4.6% of the total population of the TEIs. So we have a very low percentage in terms of the number of COEs and CODs. So in terms of our performance in the licensure examination, so we have in 2021, September 2021, we have only 57.17%. In January of 2022, we have and then in 2022 of March, we have 45.48%. So the next slide will show us scholarship for education students. The new law provides us with a scholarship for teacher education. And the TEC, of course, is looking at providing a scholarship for incoming education students. Presently also, most of our TEIs, if not all, is using the open admission policy, but only selective retention. So in terms of the curriculum, presently, we say that the curriculum being offered in the teacher education institutions is provided by our CMO. Well, of course, the subject offering is there is a little bit difference in terms of what we produce with the demand for our teachers for DepEd. So that's one of the reasons, or those are the reasons why we came up, I think our legislators came up with the RA 11713, or the Teacher Education, Teacher Excellence in Teacher Education Act. Okay? So it was signed into law April of 2022. So with the passage of RA 11713, also known as the Teacher Education Act, Excellence in Teacher Education Act, we envision to enhance the quality of education in the country and the training of our teachers. This will be done through the following key points stated in the law. First is the establishment of a scholarship program for deserving students pursuing teacher education degree programs, and for teachers, not only for teachers, but for school leaders pursuing graduate degree programs. Number two is, of course, the enhancement of the Teacher Education Council and institutionalization of the National Educators Academy of the Philippines. So this is a very comprehensive law, and for us to be guided and facilitate the implementation of its provision, the Department of Education, together with Commission on Higher Education, Technical Education and Skills Development Authority, National Commission for Culture and the Arts, and Professional Regulation Commission, plus other stakeholders, crafted these implementing rules and regulations. The collective effort of the team during the various write-ups conducted led to this draft IRR, which will be presented later by our credible speakers. In today's convergence, we encourage you our stakeholders to give us your input so we can enhance the said IRR prior to its finalization. Crafting the IRR of this law is a challenging task, and I want to give my commendation to the whole team for coming up with this draft. Thank you also to our stakeholders who were virtually present with us today. Your input will be substantial part as we are a few steps away from having a finalized IRR of the Excellence in Teacher Education Act. So, with that, thank you very much.
At this point, let us proceed to the, thank you very much, Director Ranvi. At this point, let us proceed to the message from the Director General of Technical Education and Skills Development Authority, or TESDA, Honorable Danilo P. Cruz, through his representative Deputy Director General Rosana Ordaneta. A virtual clap for DDG Ordaneta.
Isang magandang, masagana at matagumpay na araw po sa ating lahat na narito ngayon. To the Honorable Secretary of the Department of Education, Vice President Sara Z. Duterte, to Chairman J. Prospero de Vera III of the Commission on Higher Education, to Chairman Rene R. Escalante of National Commission for Culture and the Arts, to Acting Chairman Dr. Jose Cueto Jr. of the Professional Regulation Commission, and to all our partners and stakeholders attending this consultation. On behalf of Director General Danilo P. Cruz of the Technical Education and Skills Development Authority, it is my privilege to speak before you as we present the IRR of Republic Act number 11713, or the Excellence in Teacher Education Act. The drafting of the IRR is a collaborative effort of the Technical Working Group composed of DepEd, CHED, TESDA, NCCA, PRC, and other agencies and education stakeholders. I think this is an opportune time for me to thank and commend the TWG for their hard work, so that we are able to lay down specific measures that shall pave the way for the strengthening, development, and protection of our teachers nationwide. As the country continues to address the concern of learning loss or losses among our learners, we cannot discount the critical roles that our teachers play in ensuring the continued delivery of learning in various modes and styles, to make learning more interesting and interactive, especially to the young ones. Our teachers were put to a challenge during the pandemic, and they overcame the different obstacles to sustain and advance learning at different levels of education. For this noble purpose of securing a brighter future for our children, we applaud our teachers, trainers, and learning facilitators as they pursue this very purpose and stay relevant with the demands of the education sector. Providing excellent teacher education is essential to elevating the quality of education in our country. To ensure the quality of TVET provision and to cope with the changing needs and demands of the sector, TESDA pursues the development and capability building of our teachers. The National TVET Trainers Academy is tasked to provide trainers development programs in response to the demand for quality trainers who will deliver TVET in the country. The NTTA implemented the training of master trainers for the 21st century skills to provide trainers the knowledge, skills, and attitude in designing and planning and implementing a training of trainers program. We also have enhanced the competencies of our administrators, supervisors, teaching, and non-teaching staff based on the competency standards defined by the Philippine TVET Trainers Qualification Framework. In addition to contend with online class facilitation, the Facilitate e-learning sessions training program has been implemented to capacitate the trainers to learn the necessary tools needed to conduct online learning effectively. TESDA also implements the Tagsanay Awards, an annual recognition and incentives to TVET trainers who have exceeded the set requirements and demonstrated competencies beyond the expectation. This is TESDA's way to honor our trainers and facilitators. These are some of the efforts that are very much aligned with the objectives of the law we are discussing today. The signing of the Excellence in Teacher Education Act of 2022 catalogs the ways to concretely invest in the development of our educators and learning facilitators towards the attainment of quality education. It further strengthens teacher education through the reorganization of the Teacher Education Council, while enhancing its mandate to respond to the necessities of present time and anticipate the needs of our future. It will also institutionalize the National Educators Academy of the Philippines to provide quality professional development programs on teacher education to in-service teachers, school leaders, and other teaching-related personnel, including TVET teachers in all public and private education institutions. Under this act, a teacher education scholarship program for deserving and aspiring teachers is also established. Today, as the TWG presents the IRR, may I encourage each and everyone to be participative, cooperative, and be future thinkers so that we can achieve the true intention of the law. In order to establish hopes, let us open up the possibilities for harmonization, inclusion, and recognition at all levels of education. With that, maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat.
So thank you very much, DDG Ardaneta. A virtual clap to our representative from TESDA. Okay, so Republic Act 11713 was signed by former President Rodrigo Roa Duterte last April 27, 2022, as mentioned by Director Randy a while ago. So, and mentioned about the implementing rules and regulations, particularly in Section 23 of the Republic Act. Therefore, let us now move on to the highlights of this activity. The presentation of Republic Act 11713 implementing rules and regulations. Let us start with Rule 1 to Rule 3, particularly Sections 1 to 9.19, to be presented by Dr. Felina P. Espique, Tech Zonal Representative for Luzon. Over to you, Dr. Espique.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for heading to the call of the Teacher Education Council Secretariat to join us to this virtual public consultation on the implementing rules and regulations of Republic Act 11713. Let me share with you the first three parts of the said IRR, and this will cover Section 1 to Section 9.19. I am Felina P. Espique, and I am the Tech Zonal Representative for Luzon. For the first part, which is Rule 1, covering the preliminary provisions, we have Section 1 title that says, these rules and regulations shall be referred to as the implementing rules and regulations, or IRR, of Republic Act number RA 11713, otherwise known as the Excellence in Teacher Education Act. Section 2, Scope and Application. These IRR shall apply to teachers and school leaders in all public and private basic education institutions, into all public and private teacher education institutions or TEIs. Section 3, Declaration of Policy. These IRR shall be interpreted in light of Declaration of Policy found in Section 2 of the Act. It is the declared policy of the state to protect and promote the right of all citizens to quality education at all levels, and to take appropriate steps to make such education accessible and relevant to all. It is likewise universally recognized that the teacher is the key to effective teaching learning processes by drawing out and nurturing the best in the learner as a human being and worthy member of society. Further, the state recognizes the role of school leaders in supporting teachers by fostering an environment for effective teaching in a school culture that develops enthusiastic and independent learners who are committed to lifelong learning. Towards this end, the state shall ensure and enhance the quality education and training of teachers nationwide by establishing a scholarship program for deserving students pursuing teacher education degree programs, and for teachers and school leaders pursuing graduate degree programs, and providing a dynamic, modern, and equitable education system through the national leadership of the Teacher Education Council, hereinafter referred to as the Council, which is mandated to carry out this vision through the development of teachers and school leaders who are of unquestionable integrity and competence, and who are committed to the pursuit of their continuing professional growth and obligation to help learners grow as responsible, competent, and productive individuals and citizens of the Philippines and of the world. For Section 5, we have the definition of terms. The following terms shall mean or be understood as follows. First, assessment refers to a systematic collection, review, and use of information about a wide variety of methods or tools that educators use to evaluate, measure, and document the academic readiness, learning progress, skill acquisition, or educational needs of students, and for the purpose of improving their learning and development. Ecosystem approach refers to the strategy of integrated engagement of a wide range of internal and external stakeholders in the development and delivery of professional development programs. For the examination cycle or process, this is still to be given a definition. Next, excellence. This refers to the efficient, effective, and innovative delivery of relevant, functional, and quality programs in teacher education, specifically on training, curriculum development, instruction, research, and extension services. Formal education refers to the systematic and deliberate process of hierarchically structured and sequential academic learning from kindergarten to graduate education. In-service education will refer to any professional development training given to education personnel, which include formal and informal activities that develop an individual's skills, knowledge, and expertise in the teaching profession. Non-formal education refers to any organized and systematic educational activity undertaken outside the framework of the formal education system to provide selected types of learning to a segment of the population. Next, other teaching-related personnel will refer to those who perform teaching-related functions such as guidance counselors and librarians and other personnel to be determined by the council. Para-teachers will refer to those who have taken the licensure examination for teachers but were unable to qualify and have been issued by the Board for Professional Teachers a special permit indicating their area of assignment where there is a shortage or absence of a professional teacher. Pre-service teacher education programs refer to undergraduate degrees and certificates of teaching covering mandatory curriculum and practicum specifications. While pre-service teachers refer to students enrolled in a teacher education degree program offered by teacher education institutions or TEIs. Professional standards will refer to the set of standards established and used by the Department of Education or DepEd that set out expectations of professional practice for teachers and school leaders across their respective career stages. It shall be the basis for all learning and development programs for teachers and school leaders, as well as the benchmark for their selection and promotion. The integrity of these standards shall be ensured by the Council through rigorous reviews after 5 years from the effectivity of the Act and every after 5 years thereafter, or within a shorter period as the Council deems it necessary. Roadmap. It is referring to a strategic plan that defines the Council's goal and desired outcome, which includes all the major steps and milestones of the Council in collaboration with the different education agencies and stakeholders. School leaders refer to officials in the public school system who perform managerial and supervisory roles in the respective levels of governance, such as head teachers, department heads, principals and assistant principals, schools district supervisors, education program supervisors, and chief education supervisors at the schools division and regional offices, schools division superintendents, regional directors, and assistant regional directors, and their equivalent positions in the private school system. Teacher refers to a person qualified to practice teaching under the law and engage in the teaching of any subject, including technical, vocational, or tech-voc, at the basic education level in all private or public basic education institutions. This may include teachers who may not actually be employed as such. For the purposes of this IRR, teacher may include persons performing guidance and counseling, instructional supervision in all private or public education institutions, and all persons qualified to practice teaching under the law. Graduates of education who have passed the government examination for teachers, although not actually employed as such, are hereby included in this definition. Teacher education refers to formal pre-service and in-service education and training, including graduate education in various areas of specialization undertaken by pre-service teachers and teachers. Teacher Education Center of Excellence, or Teacher Education COE, refers to a public or private college, institute, school, or agency which may exist by itself or within a university or college that is engaged in providing academic training for both formal and non-formal pre-service and continuing education of students, teachers, school leaders, and teacher educators that has established and continues to maintain an excellent track record in teacher education, instruction, faculty qualifications, research, extension services, linkages, ability to produce top caliber graduates, and others as specified in the criteria for identifying teacher education COEs as provided for under the Act. Teacher education institutions, or TEIs, refer to higher education institutions recognized by the Commission on Higher Education, offering teacher education degree programs and certificates in teaching programs or their equivalent as may be approved by the Commission on Higher Education. Teacher education programs refer to recognized academic programs such as undergraduate and graduate degree programs, including Certificate of Teaching Education or its equivalent, that enable pre-service teachers to meet the requirements for entry into the teaching profession and provide in-service teachers with the knowledge, skills, and practical experience to strengthen their professional practice. Teacher educators refer to those in the education sector who educate pre-service and in-service teachers. For rule number 2, this will cover teacher education centers of excellence. Section 6 covers teacher education COE, and it says here that there shall be identified, designated, established, or developed in strategic places in each region of the country. One or more teacher education or COEs based on the criteria listed hereunder, assessed and adjudged by the Council. For the purposes of this IRR in pursuant to Section 8 of the Act, any previous policies on the identification and designation of Teacher Education Council, COEs shall be revoked. Should the need arise, certain teacher education COEs at the provincial level may later be established, identified, or developed. At least one TEI from Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao, and in Metro Manila, Metro Cebu, and Metro Davao shall be established as a center of excellence in special needs in education among these TEIs. The criteria in identifying schools and colleges as teacher education COEs shall include the following. First, highly educated, professionally qualified, and experienced faculty recognized in their fields of study, exhibiting best practices and excellence in the education sector. Integrity, commitment, promotes Filipino culture, and dedicated to the philosophy, vision, mission, and goals of the institution and education. Well-selected students who manifest the talent and commitment for teaching, adequate library, research, and study facilities, competent administrative and support staff, innovative, systematic, well-planned, and relevant curriculum development, instruction, mentoring, and research programs, adequate student services and development programs, relevant extension services, linkages, and outreach programs, percentage of graduates who pass the licensure examination for teachers and pursue a career in teaching, graduates who become professionals in the education training and development sector or leaders in the education sector or both, and such other criteria as may be established by the Council. The teacher education COEs shall form a national network which in turn shall engage with elementary schools, high schools, in or a part thereof for laboratory school purposes while developing a shared vision, commitment, and mutual respect for each other's expertise. Any designated teacher education COE shall be reviewed and evaluated every 3 years to ensure that it continues to possess the criteria prescribed under the Act. Section 7, Objectives and Functions of a Teacher Education Center of Excellence. The objectives and functions of a Teacher Education Center of Excellence shall be two. First, conduct innovative and relevant pre-service and in-service teacher education and NEAP-recognized training programs, including alternative delivery programs to ensure access to education, continuity of learning, and resilience of the education system that shall develop and produce teachers who shall provide quality education to learners. For the purposes of this IRR, the Teacher Education Centers of Excellence shall coordinate with NEAP on the in-service training programs. Second, organize and coordinate collaborative research on identified areas for systematic investigation in teacher education as basis for improving teacher education programs, policies, standards, and guidelines. Third, serve as teacher resource center for the development of curricular or instructional materials or both. Fourth, act as the central node for networking specific disciplines in teacher education in the region. Next, provide professional assistance to teacher education institutions as the need arises, including mentoring them and preparing for and pursuing appropriate pathways for quality assurance and accelerating accreditation among TEIs. Encourage mutual support among TEIs in the region for upgrading and improving their programs. Develop high standards of conduct in the field of research and innovation on teacher education. Publish research papers of their own in credible local or international refereed in or index journals, and facilitate their accessibility for knowledge creation and dissemination to TEIs and concerned agencies. And for the purposes of this IRR, credible local or international refereed or index journals are those with international standard serial number with established review processes. Next, participate in the development and implementation of a national agenda for research in teacher education that should cover priority areas for the continuous enhancement of teacher education, training, and development for purposes of local and international research and publication. For the purposes of this IRR, the Council will take the lead in the national agenda for research in teacher education, together with the representatives from the different educational institutions and deans of centers of excellence. For rule number 3, covering Teacher Education Council and Secretariat. Teacher Education Council composition. The council shall be composed of 9 members. The council, along with its secretariat, shall be attached to the Department of Education solely for budgetary coordination and related purposes. It shall be composed of the following. The following members of the council shall serve in an ex officio capacity by virtue of their respective offices. Secretary of the Department of Education as chairperson, chairperson of the Commission on Higher Education as vice chairperson, Director General of the Technical Education and Skills Development Authority or TESDA, Executive Director of the National Commission for Culture and the Arts, and Chairperson of the Professional Regulation Commission or PRC. The following regular members shall be appointed by the President of the Republic of the Philippines based on their integrity, willingness to serve, and relevant expertise and experience in the education sector. A teacher representative from a public basic education institution who is experienced and recognized as an expert nationally and internationally, in whose personal and professional integrity as well as commitment to service are proven or well accepted. For the purposes of this IRR, a teacher representative shall embody the highest standard for teaching, grounded in global best practices, exhibit exceptional capacity to improve their own teaching practice and that of others, recognized as leaders in education, contributors to the profession, and initiators of collaborations and partnerships, create lifelong impact in the lives of colleagues, students, and others, consistently seek professional advancement and relevance in pursuit of teaching and quality and excellence, and exhibit commitment to inspire the education community and stakeholders for the improvement of education provision in the Philippines and the world. Next, a representative from an organization of deans of colleges of education, professional teachers, and educators. Third, a representative from a national organization of private basic education institutions, and a representative from an organization composed of school leaders from public or private basic education institutions. The members of the council shall serve without any compensation, but shall be reimbursed for actual and necessary expenses incurred by them in carrying out their duties under the Act. The council shall meet at least 4 times in a year and hold such other meetings at the call of the chairperson or a majority of the council's members. For the purposes of this IRR, the ex officio may designate an authorized representative to attend the quarterly meetings of the council, provided that the said representative must be occupying a certain position that would enable the council to convene meetings, discuss policy, and take action on issues based on its powers and functions. The level of representation shall be division chief, attorney, or its equivalent or higher to be their designated representative. All regular members of the Council shall hold office for a period of 3 years and may be reappointed once for another 3 years. For Section 9, Powers and Functions of the Council. The Council shall implement the provisions of the Act and shall continue to exercise the following powers and functions. Establish a roadmap for teacher education which shall serve as guide for designing, delivering, monitoring, and evaluating relevant, responsive, innovative, creative, and collaborative program and policy development initiatives. This roadmap must be crafted with reference to similar roadmaps of other agencies related to teacher education and development. Second, strengthen the link between pre-service and in-service teacher education programs by collaborating with relevant government agencies and stakeholders, including the National Educators Academy of the Philippines or NEAP. Third, set and mandate basic requirements for teacher education programs. Monitor and quality assure compliance therewith to ensure a strong, transparent link between the outcomes of teacher education programs and the professional standards for teachers and school leaders, research, and international best practices in international accords or frameworks of value to teacher education that the Philippines is a signatory to. It shall likewise ensure that such minimum requirements are reasonably and effectively implemented by the Commission on Higher Education. For the purposes of this IRR, the TEIs must orient the PSTs with 37 indicators or BTIs stated in the PPST so that when they enter the department, they are already aware of these indicators. For degrees involving textbook programs, a mandatory national assessment for NC resultant subjects shall be taken immediately after the course is given to help the students collect the necessary certificates as a prerequisite to the licensure examination, employment, and other purposes. Fourth, identify and designate among existing private and public TEIs, teacher education centers of excellence, for the CHED's supervision, mentoring, and regulation, and formulate a strategic plan to proactively develop teacher education centers of excellence in every region and province. Next, uphold and maintain the integrity of professional standards for teachers and school leaders by formulating evidence-based policies and standards that shall strengthen and improve the system of teacher education and training, both in pre-service and in service, including prescribing a national examination to determine the eligibility for admission into a recognized TEI pre-service program, and any successive pre-qualifying examination thereafter, in order to determine whether the level of knowledge, skills, and readiness prior to taking the licensure examination for teachers are being met. The Council shall issue guidelines as regards the policies, conduct, schedule, and fees for the national examination. In collaboration with TESDA, the practice teaching of pre-service teachers under the textbook programs shall be conducted in the technical vocational institutions to ensure the development of necessary skills required by the program. Next, establish policies to implement a system of recognition affirming the career stages achieved by teachers and school leaders based on professional standards, including the institution, organization, and maintenance of a pool of national assessors for such recognition. Regional lead assessors from TESDA shall form part of the pool of national assessors for textbook-related programs. Support the teachers and school leaders through the setting and monitoring of systematic requirements to assure quality and uniformity of all career stage recognition processes being implemented in linking professional standards across their professional life. 8, establish a policy on an effective system of incentives such as scholarships, grants and aid, loan programs, subsidies, stipends, and other similar benefits and incentives to be implemented by the Unified Student Financial Assistance System for Tertiary Education or UNIFAS Board in order to attract and encourage outstanding basic education graduates, both from public and private schools, and tertiary level students in programs other than education to pursue teacher education, as well as to encourage teachers to pursue graduate degrees in teacher education. Applicants who have benefited from other incentives under existing laws shall be ineligible to avail of the incentives under the Act. For the purposes of this IRR, the beneficiaries of free higher education as provided by Section 4 of Republic Act number 10931, currently enrolled or intending to shift to undergraduate pre-service teacher education programs, shall be eligible to avail the said incentives. Formulation of evidence-based policies and standards that improve pre-service training of teachers was provided under Section 9.5 of the IRR. TESDA also suggests for the inclusion of national certificates as a prerequisite for the licensure examination for textbook programs. In like manner, the same shall be given credit and form part of the licensure examination composition to read. To achieve this end, the national certification or NC issued by TESDA shall be made a prerequisite to the licensure examination of teachers for textbook education-related programs. The NC shall also be given credit and form part of the licensure examination composition to ensure that practical skills are possessed by textbook education-related program passers. TESDA trainers who are professional teachers may avail of the incentives in pursuance of graduate degrees in teacher education. 9.9, systematically monitor, evaluate, and report on the implementation of the professional standards, including professional development programs offered by the NEAP or other providers to promote exemplary practices of teachers and school leaders and thereby contribute to the enhancement of the standing of the profession in the community. Next, ensure that the system to professionalize teachers aligns with the professional standards in the Philippine Qualifications Framework, incorporates feedback mechanisms to stakeholders for the enhancement of pre-service teacher education in TEIs, and involves comprehensive analysis of factors affecting the performance of graduates in such professionalization. The conduct of a licensure examination shall guarantee transparency through the release of the most recent licensure examination questions and corresponding answers immediately after their administration by the PRC, as well as the results of item analysis and other relevant test statistics to the Council. The following are actually included here, but still will undergo comments or recommendations or analysis from the members of the Council, and that will also come from me. The licensure examination questions and answers shall be released after the examination cycle shall have been completed, which is after the issuance of the item analysis for every examination conducted. The examination questions and answers results of the item analysis and test statistics submitted by the PRC shall only be used for policy formulation, research, and conduct of constructive feedback on the licensure examinations for the improvement of the quality of teacher education. The release of the licensure examination and other relevant data for commercial and or other use outside of those herein stated is prohibited. For this purpose, a system for feedback mechanism to stakeholders shall be developed as basis in the identification and analysis of the factors that affect the performance of graduates in the licensure examination. So these are actually our inputs also from the PRC for further recommendations or analysis or comments. Next, number 11. Recommend strategies to TEIs and HEIs for the implementation of programs under Republic Act number 10647, otherwise known as the Ladderized Education Act of 2014, to provide opportunities for educational and career advancement for pre-service and in-service teachers, including para-teachers and learning support aides. Learning support aides shall be persons who work together in collaboration with teachers and contribute to the provision of learning opportunities that promote achievement and progression of learners. Next, recommend to the DepEd and the CHED strategies and policies related to attracting and recruiting outstanding high school graduates to pursue an education degree and to ensure a seamless transition from higher education to employment in teaching. Other qualified professionals from different fields may also be recruited into the teaching profession, subject to existing laws, rules, and regulations. Next, undertake, apply, and share research related to teaching and school leadership that shall serve as a central repository of literature on teacher education and conduct by itself or through third parties relevant studies needed in the formulation of policies and in the planning and successful implementation of plans, programs, and projects required in attaining the purposes of the Act. Next, create, reorganize, or abolish offices under the Secretariat, which shall provide administrative and technical support to the Council in executing its policies and programs, and form committees in which shall render advice or assistance to the Council in connection with any of the functions stated in this section. Encourage the establishment of consortia and other cooperative arrangements among public and private TEIs for greater efficiency and economy in the use of resources. Encourage the establishment of consortia and other cooperative arrangements among public and private TEIs for greater efficiency and economy in the use of resources. And to add, for further comments and recommendations, and to strengthen the complementary role of the public and private sectors in teacher education, training, and development. So this is an input coming from CHED. Review existing policies and recommend new legislation and policies in order to continuously improve, enhance, and strengthen teacher education and promote the welfare of teachers and school leaders. Next, call upon any department, bureau, office, or government corporation, local government unit, and other concerned agencies for assistance in areas falling within their mandate. Maintain a list of all TEIs in coordination with CHED, and promulgate rules and regulations and exercise such other powers and functions as may be necessary to effectively carry out the purpose and objectives of this Act. Maraming salamat po. For your questions, it will be entertained during the open forum after all the presentations of the parts of the implementing rules and regulations. For your comments and for further recommendations. Thank you very much po, and muli magandang umaga.
Okay, so thank you very much, Dr. SPK. Let us give Dr. SPK a virtual clap. Maraming salamat po, Ma'am Feline. So let's proceed with Rule 3 to Rule 8, specifically Sections 10 to 17 by Dr. Gestoni P. Babia, our tech zonal representative for Visayas. Again, a virtual clap to Dr. Babia.
My respect to everyone who are here present today, especially to our dear residents, deans, chairpersons of the various colleges and universities, particularly the teacher education institutions in the country, our identified centers of excellence and centers of development, our various TEI national organizations, our accrediting bodies and agencies in the country, our tech regular and ex-officio members, especially to our friends from PRC, NCCA, TESDA, Commission in Higher Education and Department of Education, our esteemed guests and colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and once again, welcome to our national consultation on the implementing rules and regulations of RA 11713. Today, I am commissioned and tasked to read to you the specific provisions covering Rule number 3 to Rule number 8, specifically pointing at Section 10 to Section 17. So these particular rules covers the following section. Rule number 3 will cover Section 10 on the advisor to the council and Section 11 on the secretariat. Rule number 4 will be on teacher education scholarship program, covering 2 sections on Section 12, the establishment of the Teacher Education Scholarship Program, and Section 13, the Student Incentives Support Office. Rule number 5 will be on the appointment or selection of offices of the Teacher Education Secretariat. And under this rule is Section 14 on the appointments. Rule number 6 will be the review and assessment of the implementation of policies on teacher education. And under this rule is Section 15 on policy implementation, review, and assessment. And rule number 7 will cover the coordination with other government agencies involved in education programs. And under this rule is Section 16 on coordination with other agencies. And rule number 8 on the development and improvement of teacher education by local government units. And under this rule is Section 17, the active participation of local government units. On the provision on Section 10 regarding advisor to the Council, the Philippine Normal University, the designated National Center for Teacher Education under Republic Act 9647, shall serve as the advisor to the Council by providing research-based, strategic, and innovative recommendations and technical support on teacher education. For purposes of this IRR, the advisor shall conduct high-impact, applied research and provide the Council evidence-based policy advice and technical assistance on teacher education. The Council is hereby authorized to set aside a portion of its appropriation for the fulfillment of the mandate of the advisor to the Council. However, such designation shall not prevent the Council to identify and to commission other equally qualified individuals or teams on an advisory or consultative capacity as it deems necessary that can provide additional support to its developmental priorities. The Council is hereby authorized to set aside a portion of its appropriation only for planned and approved research and technical assistance initiatives for the fulfillment of the mandate of the advisor to the Council. Section 11 covers the provision on the Tech Secretariat. A secretariat is hereby organized to assist the Council in executing its policies and programs and provide the necessary administrative and technical support. The Secretariat shall be headed by an Executive Director who shall exercise general supervision and control over the technical and administrative personnel of the offices under the Secretariat. The Executive Director shall be assisted by a Deputy Executive Director who shall coordinate and oversee the regional operations. The Council shall fix the staffing pattern of the Secretariat and determine the qualifications, functions, and compensation scheme for the positions to be created. The Council shall further prepare the necessary budget for the operationalization of the Secretariat. The Secretariat shall initially be composed of the following offices, each to be headed by a director. 11.1, the Quality Pre-Service Teacher Education Office. This Quality Pre-Service Teacher Education Office shall perform the following functions. 11.1.1, coordinate with the various TEIs for cooperative arrangement in the sharing of resources, best practices, research, and other similar undertakings that will improve the respective teacher education programs. 11.1.2, conduct study and evaluation for the intelligent assessment of the Council of the content of the licensure examination for teachers. And 11.1.3, other functions as may be assigned by the Council through the Executive Director. 11.2 is the second office, which is termed as Quality Teaching Office. The Quality Teaching Office shall ensure that the professional standards for teachers and school leaders are applied fairly and consistently across the country and shall perform the following functions. 11.2.1, formulate and recommend policies to the Council for the institution and continuing enhancement of a national career assessment program for teachers and school leaders. 11.2.2, assist the Council in the evaluation of teacher proficiency and in certifying the appropriate career stages achieved by teachers and school leaders. 11.2.3, coordinate research studies and the development of proficiency-enhancing materials for teachers and school leaders. And 11.2.4, other functions as may be assigned by the Council through the Executive Director. The 11.3 is the last office is the Finance and Administration Office. The Finance and Administration Office shall oversee financial functions and operations and human resource related functions. It may perform other functions as may be assigned by the Council through the Executive Director. Rule number 4 covers the provision on Teacher Education Scholarship Program. Section 12 under this rule is the establishment of a Teacher Education Scholarship Program. A Teacher Education Scholarship Program, otherwise known as the TESP, shall be established under the Act for deserving basic education graduates, both from public and private schools, and tertiary level students to pursue undergraduate teacher education degree program in all teacher education COEs, which shall be implemented by the UNIFAST board. The financial assistance under the TESP shall include the following depending on the needs of the student grantee. 12.1, free tuition and other school fees. 12.2, allowance for prescribed books, supplies, and learning materials. 12.3, research support grant. 12.4, clothing or uniform allowance. 12.5, allowance for dormitory or boarding house accommodation. 12.6, transportation allowance. 12.7, thesis, dissertation, project allowance. 12.8, research publication fee if applicable. 12.9, licensure examination review fees. 12.10, licensure fees. And 12.11, other education-related miscellaneous subsistence or living allowances. The TESP and the eligibility criteria and conditions for acceptance and disqualification thereto, in addition to the minimum requirements and conditions prescribed by the UNIFAST board, shall be determined and incorporated by the Council in its policy on an effective system of incentives. Grantees of other incentives under existing laws shall be prohibited from availing of the incentives under the TESP. Section 13 covers the Student Incentives Support Office. This office shall be established to create and implement programs that shall attract and encourage top caliber students to the teaching profession and shall establish a scholarship program for qualified students which the UNIFAST board shall implement. Its functions shall include the following. 13.1, in coordination with the DepEd, develop an annual implementation plan, which shall include a thorough teacher demand analysis and recruitment campaign to attract incoming undergraduate students and program shifters to take on a teaching education program. 13.2, establish a partnership program with private and public basic education schools for an annual career talk to orient and encourage top caliber students to join the teaching profession. 13.3, provide screening guidelines for highly competent faculty and professionals from the TEIs who will qualify and serve as mentors for the pre-service teachers. And 13.4, establish and maintain a scholarship program for deserving students pursuing undergraduate teacher education degree program. To achieve this particular provision, another sub-provisions are as follows. 13.4.1 is to develop and conduct an annual competitive examination and qualification standards for incoming undergraduate students who may be granted full benefits of the TESP. 13.4.2, monitor and ensure that TESP scholars complete their course only in private or public TEIs designated as COEs. 13.4.3, coordinate with regional offices to ensure regional support and coordination in the implementation of the TESP. 13.4.4, ensure that TESP scholars shall be mentored by highly competent faculty and professionals throughout the course of their study. And 13.4.5, promulgate and periodically review for approval of the Council the qualification criteria for scholars and mentors. For purposes of this IRR, recommend to the Council, in coordination with the offices under the Secretariat, the financial amounts of the components of TESP as stated in Section 12 of this IRR. Rule number 5 covers the appointment, selection of officers of the Teacher Education Council Secretariat. Section 14 covers the provision on appointments. The executive director of the Secretariat shall be appointed by the chairperson of the Council upon the concurrence of the members. The executive director shall have a fixed term of 5 years unless sooner removed by the concurrence of the Council and shall not be eligible for reappointment. The executive director must be engaged in the practice of teaching for at least 10 years, holder of at least a master's degree in education or any related field, and has contributed to the improvement of teacher quality or teacher education in the country. The executive director shall have the rank, privileges, and emoluments of an executive director 5. The selection of deputy executive director and the directors shall be done by the Council in accordance with the relevant rules, standards, and procedures on the selection and classification of members of the career executive services. Said positions shall be in accordance with the compensation and position classification system, subject to the review and approval of the Department of Budget and Management. Rule number 6 covers the provision for review and assessment of the implementation of policies and teacher education. And Section 15 under this rule covers the policy implementation review and assessment. For the purpose of fully optimizing policy development on teacher education and reinforcing the role of the Council in linking pre-service and in-service education and training, the Secretary of the DepEd, the chairperson of the CHED, and the president of the advisor to the Council shall conduct a comprehensive review and assessment of the DepEd and the CHED's implementation of policies on teacher education every 5 years. Rule number 7 covers the coordination with other government agencies involved in education programs. And under this rule is Section 16 on coordination with other government agencies. And as stated, the Council shall closely coordinate with the following agencies involved in education programs for effective implementation of its powers and functions. 16.1, DepEd shall provide the Council an annual report on the following areas. 16.1.1, development and needs of learners in the basic education level. 16.1.2, competencies and areas of learning that need to be given attention. 16.1.3, performance of learners in international assessments. 16.1.4, hiring and performance of teachers. 16.1.5, training and career development of teachers. 16.1.6, evaluation on the quality of professional learning courses for teachers. And 16.1.7, other matters that the Council may need information on. 16.2, CHED shall provide the Council an annual report on the status and performance of all TEIs in the implementation of the teacher education program, including the development of curriculum for teacher education programs, admission and performance of students in TEIs, potential TEIs which the Council may designate as teacher education COE, performance of faculty members, researches conducted and published, institutions applying for recognition, non-performing TEIs, and other matters regarding teacher education that must be brought to the attention of the Council. 16.3, PRC shall provide the Council an annual report and analysis of the professionalization of teachers including the content and result of the licensure examination and periodic merit examination for teachers, the passing rate of TEIs, and other matters as may be requested by the Council that may be relevant to the improvement and development of the teacher education programs. 16.4. TESDA shall provide the Council an annual report on the development of the textbook programs and textbook industries, status, and performance of public and private TESDA accredited institutions, performance and employability of learners in senior high school in the textbook track, and such other information as may be required by the Council. 16.5. NCCA shall provide the Council an annual report on the development in the creative industries, indigenous industries, and other matters relevant in the study of social sciences and history, national heritage and creative arts, and in aid of ensuring to provide teachers with knowledge in the areas of social sciences and history, national heritage and creative arts, the NCCA shall provide the Council a regular report and update on the development in the creative industries, indigenous industries, and other matters relevant in the study of social sciences and history, national heritage, and creative arts, and pursuant to relevant policies and programs. And 16.6, UNIFAST Board shall, in coordination with the CHED and the Council, implement the TESP. It shall also provide the Council an annual report on the scholarships and other financial assistance made available, the number of beneficiaries and teacher education COEs involved, and other relevant information as the Council may require. Rule number 8, the last section for my discussion, is on development and improvement of teacher education by local government units. And under this rule is section 17 on active participation of local government units. As stated, local government units shall include in their plans, programs, and projects the development and improvement of teacher education through the teacher education COEs in their respective regions. And that comprises the provisions covering rule number 3 to rule number 8, section 10, section 16. And if you have some questions and further clarifications regarding those provisions that I have read, you may share and ping us later during our open forum. Maraming salamat po.
Okay. Daghan sa kaayong salamat, Dr. Babia. Thank you very much, sir. So the IRR is still ongoing. Your suggestions and comments matter. So please reserve your comments and suggestions later po sa ating open forum, or you can key in the chat box. Yung mga nasa live po, you can have it in the comment box. Then later, our moderators will read it during the open forum. We are done with the first part of our activity. For the meantime, we will pause for our lunch. O diba, super early ang ating lunch since we did not have a health break kanina po. So we will be having an early lunch. And we will resume at 1 p.m. for the continuation of our presentation for the RA 11713 IRR. A short reminder lang po that there is no need to leave the platform. We will be using the same platform all throughout the activity. So again, we will be having an early lunch since we don't have a health break in between the presentations. Thank you very much and see you once again at 1 p.m. Happy lunch, everyone.